Yeah, because I have various day jobs to support my writing for many years, because there's like a decade at least in this project, and I've done other kinds of writing along the way. Um, I'm not one of those people that fortunately can write every day, which is what I recommend to my workshop students. But what I do is when I have work that's quite discrete, like I'll work for 2 weeks in a teaching gig, or I'll have a writing project I'm doing on for hire from someone, and then I build that around a calendar where I might have a couple of months where I can just work, and then I work usually about an 8-hour day, which is a little unusual, but because I don't have that all the time, I figured out a system of doing it. Start about 9, work until about 3 or 4, take a brief nap, then have a really ono cup of coffee with a lot of cream in it, and then I can work right up until maybe 11 o'clock at night. And I actually get a kind of second wind, or you might even call it some days a third wind in the evening. But I'm very disciplined. I stay focused on that task. No one can reach me on the phone. I work it out with my wife, who's an artist. We'll say, hey, we're having a no talking day, and we'll connect later, so that we're not talking about the grocery list or something. It essentially, there's two parts to it. One is writing is not about talent; it's about practice, and I agree with Natalie Goldberg on that. So that means you need to get there and keep the pen moving and sit down on the chair and spend the time, and you do it over and over and over again until it's just part of your life. The second thing is it's intuitive writing. You're using both lobes of your brain. And I really encourage people not to overthink their writing, but to rather trust their na'ah, or their intuition. What is it that's in there that you want to talk about? And just get out of the way. Let it get on the page, and then you come back in and revise. And I use that method. I wrote the whole book from beginning to end with the same method that I teach. Natalie Goldberg, Writing Down the Bones, or Wild Mind, the two books. One other thing. Practice awareness. Be here now. For the best writers are not just very good with words and sentences and skillful with their editorial pen. They are people who see more, feel more, smell more, because when they're not writing, they're practicing being fully open, not distracted. And that's another thing I tell my students, and I really applied that. And especially if you're going to try to write about a very different place. I may have been here for 25 years, but it takes a long time to become ma'a to a place that is this different from where I grew up in Minnesota, at least in all the details. Though there are things that are very common between islanders here and river people there. The great Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa said, to be an artist, you must never avert one's eyes. To be an artist, one must never avert one's eyes. There's too much, I think, in movies and in literature, too much copying to political correctness, copying to particular fashion in commercial fashion. Not enough paying attention, maka'ala, opening the eyes, look at what's going on. And so I think that's very instructive on the part of Kurosawa. So that's one thing. You need discipline. You got to commit. Keep writing. Never lose faith in the truth that you're unveiling. That's the thing that derails so many people or keeps people from starting, is the not trusting their own truth from their own experience. And one of the things that's wonderful about Hawaii's we have this rich literary tradition here, especially in the last 30 years. When you go back to those pioneers in Bamboo Ridge, of people trusting their truth, of people knowing who they are, owning who they are, hearing what their voice is, putting it out there. And so I think those are the things. That's the tradition I want to be in. I hope Daughters of Fire meets that kind of a standard. At least it was my intention. It's one of the reasons it took so long to write. It wasn't because I don't get writer's block. I just wish I didn't have so many day jobs to support the writing.